What's going on, everyone? I hope you all are ready for an action-packed week in the market. I am pumped up. I have a feeling that this week is going to be a great one, and I'll tell you this straight from the beginning. We are set for a big week as we have a lot to talk about today. Not only do we have word of a brand new $1.6 billion short position against the market from the one and only Michael Burry, but we also have brand new trades from Warren Buffett. And then on top of that, towards the end of today's video, we have a big money $16.8 million options trade. We have a lot to talk about today. The market rebounded slightly, and we have a lot of great opportunities setting up this week. So, Tom, with that being said, let's jump right into today's episode.
Yeah, Mike, that market today was really good, actually. We saw a lot of nice price action back to the upside. Now, it wasn't necessarily up a lot. It was only up like 0.5% here, but we did see a nice bounce off that 444 support. I actually made an alert down there so I'd be notified if we got a hit, and we did not today. We got pretty close, but we ended up popping back to the upside, and a lot of these stocks are starting to come back a little bit, like Microsoft, Apple, stocks like that, and I'm really not surprised that we're coming back up slightly, given the moves down that we've seen. It's not all the time that you zoom out over a couple weeks time frame and see like a big downtrend on Apple like this. So I'm not surprised that we're popping back. We might even pop back up for just a couple more days before falling lower. We do have the FOMC minutes coming out on Wednesday, which will be very important to keep an eye on. But that's just about it on the economic schedule side of things. And I will say, Mike, there was a bunch of chatter today between like Michael Burry, Berkshire, and just a whole bunch of reports from these hedge funds today as they had to, disclose all of their recent purchases and stuff.
Exactly. So basically, a couple times a year, we get like updates on what the big money players are doing, whether it be Warren Buffett or Michael Burry or any other major hedge fund manager. We actually do get a glimpse to see what their positions look like. And I'll tell you this, Michael Burry's new positions are catching a lot of attention right now. For those of you who don't know who Michael Burry is, he is the guy or the main character in the movie The Big Short. This guy made hundreds of millions of dollars shorting the market in like 2008, and he has another pretty big short position in the works right now. He just revealed a $1.6 billion short against the market. More specifically, he bought SPY and QQQ put options, and the notional value is $1.6 billion. Unfortunately, the way that government regulations are, we can't see the very specific strike price, expiration, and price paid for these SPY and QQQ put options. So we don't know exactly the specifics of that and exactly how much money he had to, put up front to get into this trade. But the notional value is 2 million shares short of SPY and 2 million shares short of QQQ. This is a big trade. You do not see things like this very often, and out of all people, when you have Michael Burry placing this, it definitely catches a lot of attention.
Yeah, it does. I mean, anytime you see a guy like him shorting the market, especially with his type of reputation or something like that with Michael Burry, that reputation is just huge. Whenever you talk about somebody like him, it's hard to get a bigger name in the market. I would say like the only more popular ones, if they're even more popular, like Cathie Wood, Warren Buffett, people like that. And we're going to talk about Warren Buffett pretty soon as well, too. But Michael Burry has just been so crucial. And like you said, he's shorting the market right now, has puts in on QQQ and the SPY. And whenever I actually go out on the SPY and QQQ, considering how much they're up this year, I am not surprised he's starting to short these at all. Now, keep in mind, in the short term, we had a pretty big green day today. This doesn't mean that these stocks are going to fly down tomorrow. They could go up for a couple days and then start to go down over time. I know a lot of times these guys hold these for, at least a little while. So we'll have to see what happens with it, Mike, and how long he ends up holding the position for. But it's definitely a fun one to watch, considering somebody like him with the stature that he has. And talking about just his stature, you go over to the charts and you look at Scion Asset Management. It's been really outperforming the S&P here. Like, that's a good jump here, Mike. And just whenever you see somebody outperforming it this much, they're doing a pretty damn good job, in my opinion.
And what's worth noting, Tom, if we go back to the Michael Burry portfolio, basically what we can see is that he has a lot of other holdings in his portfolio besides these two short positions. So while I agree with his short positions, and I also think SPY and QQQ can come down more, this is not a situation where it's like sell everything you have and go all in, shorting the market. That's not how it works. He has other long positions where it's like, in a lot of ways, these SPY and QQQ positions can be a hedge, so keep that in mind going forward too. Don't get crazy.
Yeah, and I do like some of these other positions that he has. Like we see some of these new holdings like CVS, for example. In the past, it shows you on this chart right here, kind of like where he was buying CVS, where he sold. It's interesting to see him starting to pick up shares down here on this dip. I've actually been eyeing up CVS, Mike. I know you've talked about that one a little bit as well. MGM, and then there's a few others on here. Generac, I know that one's had a lot of hype lately too. So I'll keep my eyes on these stocks that he's been holding here. But it's always interesting and good to follow some of these players like this. I know that he's a very famous individual in the stock market, and the big money, they usually get into these positions for certain reasons. I know he doesn't obviously have like insider information on everything, but sometimes these guys, they talk to people in the background sometimes.
No doubt about that. And while Michael Burry's big money, it's time to talk about even bigger money, which is good old Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha. He actually had some new trades disclosed as well. We can see that he was buying a little bit more of OXY over the past quarter, which is interesting to see. He sold off some of his Chevron. He increased some of his shares into Apple. Got out of, Bank of New York Mellon, so he dumped that, and he had a couple other, notable adjustments, but what I took the most out of it is he really added to HPQ, which is HP, and that's good to see. He was buying that back in 2022, and then another thing is he's actually been buying some of these home builders, so like DHR and LEN. It's worth noting considering how the real estate market has been. It has been cooling off a little bit more, but it's probably a longer term trade for Warren, of course.
Yeah, and we've heard a lot about, the real estate market and different things like that lately, and I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more about it coming up at the end of the week. I actually saw a really weird stat today where delinquencies and some of those really bad loans are at some of the lowest levels, which is kind of interesting to me. But yeah, it's always good to see these trades from these bigger players in the market. Like you said, even a bigger guy than Burry out here, Warren Buffett. It's always interesting to see his positions considering how old he is, Mike. Now, I know it's not necessarily his, it's Berkshire. But still, he's still that big guy at the helm up there.
Oh, yeah. Warren Buffett makes Michael Burry look homeless. Seriously. When you compare funds and portfolios, it's not even close. But I will say this, Michael Burry has a lot more of those trades. What the hell is he doing? And sometimes it hits, it's a more crazy version of trading/investing with Burry. But hey, he definitely does pretty well a good amount of the time. So with that being said, jumping topics a little bit, I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen or at least heard about the horrible wildfires in Hawaii, and the stock Hawaiian Electric absolutely got demolished today, falling by basically 34%. This company supplies over 95% of all electricity in Hawaii, and basically they're being investigated right now, and they might get sued for potentially, maybe, causing these wildfires. Nothing is confirmed yet. It's all, just, I guess you could say, allegations at this point. So, just worth keeping in mind, the stock got destroyed, and obviously there's a real and devastating situation behind it, given this was it was the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than 100 years.
Yeah, that is scary. The deadliest U.S. wildfire. And I'll be honest, I haven't heard too much about the numbers like that, but that is crazy to see the stock falling off. And definitely prayers are going out to everybody who's been involved with this. Obviously, it's a pretty scary thing when you have wildfires raging that bad, and some of those pictures that I were seeing looked pretty darn scary. Like, look at that destruction from some of these fires. Like, that is definitely wild there. So I'll be watching HE, an interesting stock, and I could see it continuing down. There was actually a few other stocks that have done this before in the past. What were the tickers for that again, Mike?
The main one would be PCG. This one is PG and E. Basically, when there was a lot of times wildfires in like California and around there, this stock got hit pretty hard as well. And, the stock just downtrended for, months and years at a time. So obviously this situations like this are relatively rare, you can say, but they're very serious. And it's definitely worth noting.
Yeah, and they did say the situation's actually not over yet as well. Like, they said that they're working with them to try to determine the main cause. So it's not like that this is necessarily the main reason why it happened yet, but a lot of people are contemplating that HE could have been at fault. So just keep HE on the radar the next few days.
No doubt about that. So, Tom, while we don't have an earnings week that's as exciting as we've seen over the past couple of weeks, this week will still be important. For today in the after hours, we have Rumble. Tomorrow before open, we have Home Depot. Looking on throughout the rest of the week, we have a lot of retail stocks, whether it be Target, Walmart, like I said, Home Depot earlier, but, keep a close eye on here's on the earnings calendar for this week, because it is exciting, even though we don't have like huge tech stocks.
Yeah, exactly. Like, even Applied Materials, Cisco, C Limited, a lot of those stocks are pretty popular too. So keep your eyes on these. Some of them have pretty big moves. I know there was a lot of people talking about Rumble this week. I'm interested to see how they end up tomorrow morning. Obviously, once all this price action starts to cool down, same thing with SE and Home Depot tomorrow morning as well. So keep these stocks on the radar. Like you said, it's not a big tech week, but it's definitely interesting. Like, if we go look at RUM and after hours right now, they are going wild.
You know it. So, Tom, let's get into the fun stuff now. Some setups and predictions for the week. One stock I'm watching very closely is Penn, Penn. So basically this stock just boosted to the upside last week when they basically announced that they have a deal with ESPN for sports betting and all that good stuff, and they popped up for a second and then just like crashed down pretty hard. Now they're forming like a decent base, and overall, I think the risk to reward setup for this stock is really awesome right now. It's right around like $25 a share. Maybe you put a stop loss around $22.50, maybe $23. Depends on how you want to set the trade up. But in terms of like reward potential, I mean, you have some resistance around, you could say 29, but, even further out 30 and 36 and even further out 38 and 40. So I just think the risk reward ratio is pretty awesome with this one to the upside.
Yeah, I mean, I like it long term, and it's starting to bounce off these big supports in the short term as well. Like, that hit here at 23 was huge. I actually posted this in Discord a little bit earlier today, and it's pretty cool to see it hitting that support and still holding up. So hopefully it keeps going up. I know that ESPN deal is huge, and I actually grabbed some shares initially off that, so it better get back up there, Mike, because that was a pretty bad crash the past few days. I'm not going to lie. But going back to Microsoft, I'm looking at them to the upside tomorrow. I know a lot of these tech stocks popped up today. I'm going to watch them for a breakout in the morning. If they break 324 just above this high in after hours, I should say 324.50, I'll look for a nice move up to like 325, 325.20, nothing too crazy, maybe a quick scalp, and then I'll watch for 327 after that. There's a couple nice resistances to the upside. Now, if they do end up falling down under like 321 and then 320, I'll look at puts, but I think that stocks might consolidate for a couple days till those FOMC minutes come out.
Alrighty, sounds good. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is Netflix. So this stock has been booming over the past year or so, and it's starting to slow down a little bit like a lot of other stocks, but I'm really watching that 420 support on this one. If it breaks through that with some power and the overall market is falling too, I think this can make for a pretty awesome downside play.
Yeah, I do too, actually. I've been watching 420 the past few days on Netflix, and if they break that, it could be pretty good. And they actually had a pretty good close today, up around that like 429, 430 resistance. And if we go over to the book map, that resistance seems pretty stiff there. So, like, if we break that, maybe we could start to like run to the upside a little bit more. But if we end up rejecting, we could easily come back down to 420 and start to fall even lower. So, I like that play with Netflix, Mike. That resistance overhead is pretty good, and it's always good to have the X-ray vision on your side, seeing that overhead. So if you guys want access to that, check out the link down below. There's some pretty good deals going on, and it helps us out a little bit too. So definitely check out that link down there. But with my next play, Mike, it's actually on Intel. I know Intel is one of your favorite stocks. You've talked about it a lot over the past year or so as they've been kind of down here at lows, and it's been nice to kind of add shares on this one. There's even been some pretty big money plays associated with them lately as well. I noticed they had a lot of momentum today intraday. Like, look at that move. It was only 2.26%, but it was definitely a nice move up. So if they break 35.80, I'm going to watch for a push to around 36 or higher tomorrow for more of a breakout. But that was just such a good move today, and they're starting to like get back up to maybe retest that $38 to $40 area overhead.
All righty, good stuff, Tom. Well, it's now time for those momentum plays, and with today's first one, we have PayPal to the upside.
PYPL. I was actually eyeing this one up all morning. One of my favorites from today. Make them break out above 63.50 for tomorrow.
All righty, with the next one, we have that crazy stock, Enphase, also to the upside.
Enphase. Oh, yeah. This one's been awesome the past few years to trade. Go ahead and make them break 139 tomorrow, then watch 140 overhead after that. But these are some pretty big resistances coming up.
All righty. And then with the last one, we have Meta for both directions.
Meta, they actually recovered up a lot, and even in after hours here, they are popping up even more. I know there's been a lot between like Elon and Zuck lately too. If they end up breaking out above 308, then watch for some calls. But if they fall back under 305, then look at puts.
Speaking of Meta, I saw Lizard Man Zuckerberg called out Musk in a pretty big way recently. So basically what happened is Zuckerberg is sick of Elon just like dodging all of like the specifics about starting up this cage match. Like Elon's like, oh, I might need surgery. I'm not ready yet. You know, I can't confirm anything. And Zuck's just like, you know what? I'm sick of it. Like if you don't want to fight, then I'm just moving on. Like some of the texts between Zuckerberg and Musk were leaked, and it's just like, Tom, I'm just getting disappointed. Like, there was one fight that I wanted to happen, whether it be this year or next year, and it's for Elon to fight Mark Zuckerberg, and it would just be like the cherry on top if it was in the Coliseum too. But honestly, Tom, I don't know if my dreams are going to come true.
Oh my gosh, I did hear those rumors about it possibly like being in Rome at like they said like a super exclusive exclusive location, and I would think like in the Coliseum would be something insane to see. I would love to see it. I'm hoping that he's not trying to dodge this right here. I'm hoping that it happens. I know a lot of people think it won't, but given what Elon said down here, it still seems like he thinks it's likely to happen. You know, he said he thinks it's unlikely that Zuck would win at least and all this stuff. So I can't wait to see how this plays out. But it was definitely good to see Meta stock moving up nonetheless. But I'm honestly team Elon. I was team Zuck at first, but I think I'm switching here. I don't think that Zuckerberg could take him size-wise.
There we go. So we'll see what happens, but I honestly I don't think we're ever going to see this fight. Like, I really hope I'm wrong, but we'll see what happens. Like, I would just love to see like an absolute brawl between these two, and it would easily be like the most like watched fight in the world. So we'll see what happens. But back to stocks again. You know, we have that upside level on Meta for calls that Tom mentioned a minute ago. We have the downside level as well. And then don't forget about the other two momentum plays with Enphase and PayPal, both of which to the upside. And if they break above those levels, we're watching them for calls. But Tom, it is now time for the biggest big money trade that we've seen in a while. And we are talking about a $16.8 million trade on GLD. So GLD follows gold prices, and just to give you guys a heads up, the trade's a little bit complicated, but I'm going to make it nice and simple and easy to understand. Long story short, someone is betting that GLD or gold prices will go up between right now and October 20th of 2023. They bet $16.8 million on this trade, and more specifically, they bought the GLD 180 strike calls that expire on October 20th of 2023, and they shorted the GLD 190 strike calls that expire on October 20th of 2023. This trade will yield a maximum profit if GLD is at or above 190. I think GLD and gold prices are at a great or in a great risk-reward setup right now. I'm a fan of the trade, and when you see $16.8 million just being plowed into a trade like this, it is very hard to ignore. And Tom, I'll be honest, like when I was looking at this trade today, it definitely caught my eye.
Yeah, it catches mine too. $16 million in GLD or gold is down around support kind of. If we go out to GC, which is gold futures, you can see there's like a decent support down here, like right around 1900, even like 1920 to 1930. So I'll definitely be watching here for like a bit of a hit back to the upside. I think GLD could do it. It's been a while since they've been moving up. I know that a lot of people are kind of like saying, well, hey, maybe gold's going to go up like with the market or go up as the market falls. Lately, it's been kind of following SPY to the downside, but I was happy to see it start to come back up a little bit today, and I think that it will start to be bought more up as like a fear hedge over the next few months as the market starts to get a little bit more wild. So I do like the play, Mike. Like you said, one of the larger big money plays that we've seen in a long time. $16 million in this one.
Exactly. That's huge. It's actually closer to 17, $16.8 million. So it really is a pretty big trade. And what I will say, though, is this, this trade can take some time. Like if you're someone who's like, all right, GLD has to go up tomorrow, then you're just wrong. This option expires on October 20th of 2023. Like the option has some time to it. It's not like it has 3 years to it, but it has some time. We have until like middle to late October. So, if you do decide to follow this, give it time. Don't expect GLD to, blast like a rocket ship tomorrow or the next day. Like give it some wiggle room, and I think the overall setup's pretty decent.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to take some time. It's not going to be a trade necessarily for tomorrow, but even in the short term, though, I will say it's nice to see GLD around support, so keep it on the radar. Maybe even add some alerts, like above 178 or something like that. If you're starting to see a breakout, you could definitely start to eye up GLD, maybe even GDX to the upside. I know GDX likes to go up with gold sometimes, too.
Exactly. And following big money trades, whether it be from hedge funds or, hedge fund leaders or you could say money managers like Warren Buffett or Michael Burry is oftentimes a great thing. And if you guys want to stay on top of those flows, destroy that subscribe button. When you do, you'll see our videos recommended to you more often. We go through hours and hours worth of research and recording and editing every single day to make these videos nice and easy to watch. And we basically say everything you have to know about the market in a nice, easy video. So when you subscribe, you'll see our videos recommended to you more often. So why not subscribe, right? But back on a serious note, Tom, I am pretty excited with all this news with these hedge fund updates, whether it be from Michael Burry or Warren Buffett. But I'm also pretty excited about what we have going on in the market right now. The price action that we've been seeing lately is something that we really haven't seen in some time. Yeah, we're seeing a pop back up right now, which is totally normal, and I'm not surprised in the slightest about this, but I think we really are still seeing a shift in price action and momentum and control right now. And ultimately, when we have things like this, we see increases in volatility, which if you're a short-term trader, is just opportunity all day long, baby. So I'm hyped up. Do you have any final thoughts or anything else you're looking at?
Yeah, it's been really fun the past few weeks with all this price action. It's been kind of choppy, but that choppiness has been great to trade, especially like if you're buying on good areas of support and, having like the right risk tolerance there. So it's been really fun, Mike. Let's keep up the work for the next few days. Like I said, we do have that FOMC minutes report coming out Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. I'm still in last week with the CPI data, but no, but yeah, that's pretty much it for the week on that. Don't forget about the earnings. Screenshot this if you want to, obviously keep this, or go check out Earnings Whispers. Shout out to them for making the awesome charts here.
There we go. And last but not least, I want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, John6903 in the YouTube comments. Thank you so much for the support and comments down below. We really appreciate you and everyone else in the comments down below. We love you guys, and we're hyped up for the market right now. There should be a lot of great opportunities going forward. Besides that, thank you guys so much for watching, and let's have an amazing week.